What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Bourbon Bullshit podcast with some good friends, great drinks, and a little bit of BS. So grab a seat, pour up something neat, and welcome to the show. All right. Welcome into Bourbon Bullshit, everyone. Today's episode is featuring, once again, our support local theme. We are out here in beautiful Lakeland, Florida at Lugo's Craft Distillery with Christian Lugo, master distiller, co-owner, co-founder, used to live here, like overall fantastic guy. How are you doing today, Christian?
I'm doing all right. I appreciate you having me on here.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you letting us come out here and enjoy these beautiful spirits. We did a couple of videos. We've tried a cocktail already. And man, you poured me something unique, but we'll get to that in a second. Christian, so tell us about yourself, man. How long have you been in the industry? What got you into the whole craft distillery vibe?
So I definitely have lived many lives already. I'm 31, but I feel like I've lived 6 different lives already. But, originating from Puerto Rico, rum is in our blood, but, I didn't really get into the spirits realm until probably around 26 when I lived in Kentucky. I actually grew up kind of just liking craft beers, and when I was in my younger 20s, and then eventually wines, and kind of that palate just kept building and building until obviously you get to the epitome of bourbon in Kentucky, and kind of that passion grew from that. Mm-hmm. And kind of just...
So when you said you went to school for chemistry and all this, was the intention right from the get, like, hey man, I'm gonna get into like spirits, or like I'm gonna be a scientist?
But my family thought I was gonna be a good doctor. It was that route.
That's a Hispanic thing too, man. Like my mom's like, you're gonna be a doctor, right?
Or lawyer or something else. I played baseball. I grew up, an athlete, intelligent and curious in a lot of ways, but. I was always an athlete, and that was kind of always the plan until a lot of injuries, and God had different plans for me. But kind of just chemistry was just something. To be honest with you, I was kind of pressured into it with my family of wanting to do doctor and stuff. I didn't want to do it. I was really good at the lab. I love creating things. That's something I've realized in the last few years that I'm a very curious person, but I hated the theory of it. I hated school in so many ways, but I love to learn. And I love to learn what I enjoy. I don't know if it's the ADHD in me or my personality, but if I didn't care for it, I didn't really pay attention. But I was really good at creating things and being in the lab and getting those things properly done, getting those numbers I needed to do and actually follow that process. And from that, it's kind of just, kind of got to this. But no, it was never about making spirits.
It was never about making spirits. And I know that you said you're the co-founder. Your father is here too today. And whose idea was it to get into the spirits then at some point?
It was a funny story. So my sister living in New York, and her husband up there, they actually ran to a distillery called PMD Pitorro, who we eventually became friends of, but they're the first people to bring the concept of Pitorro, our native spirit from Puerto Rico, to the United States. And we got to know them and everything else. And my sister's like, you guys should try to, create something like that. And originally my dad was like, oh, maybe we can do a Pitorro bar or whatever else. And I was like, I can make it. And he's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, let me try to make it. And got my little moonshine still that I show you in the retail spot over there. And kind of just created those concepts of these rums and kind of just created this whole idea from the Libertad, the spice rum made of real fruits and spices, risky emulating bourbon, that we thought on those concepts. Like I ended up making those other recipes as well. And it was kind of just one of those things that, man, this is actually can go somewhere. And I went to this kind of school kind of thing. It's called Moonshine University in Kentucky, where you learn. Some people go there to learn.
Of course, in Kentucky.
Of course. It was in Louisville, and, I was working as a chemist at the time, and I hate chemistry, like, in the sense of, like, theoretical. Like, I just love creating things. Yeah. And, but I had these concepts that were delicious that people were like, you need to sell this, and kind of went to that place to understand the industry, the legalities, what works, what doesn't work, kind of just get a good base of the spirits realm, because it's most people don't know this, but it's a different world altogether.
Yeah.
From manufacturing to the distribution to on-premise, off-premise, meaning restaurants and liquor stores, the world itself is so different, and in so many different countries and in so many different spirits. It's a different world altogether. So getting that knowledge from those people was essential, and it's only built, especially with the relationships I've had. But that was kind of how it started all. So it was kind of like collaborative kind of thing. And then eventually I'm the one who pushed everything forward and, you know, finding the bottler, creating the concepts, creating like the names, the spirit, what it was going to look like. Our brand team in Dallas called Brand Smith. They were amazing and kind of conceptualizing what I wanted to bring out to it. My mom's a great artist, so I would tell her the ideas that I had in my head and she would draw it out. We will send it to the branding team and they'll bring it to the labels, and everything that you see there was coming from our creation in that sense.
That's dope. And it feels like the family business nature of it worked out perfect. You have a bunch of creatives, driven, hardworking people. You just kind of got together on a goal and worked together to build it.
And, you know, a lot of people are, you know, you shouldn't do business with family. In a lot of ways it's true. One thing that I definitely got from my family is how professional they are, especially my sister being a, you know, big marketing exec, my dad running corporations and everything. And, you know, to give me a chance, because I literally came from nothing. I didn't really even have a salary job before this. It was just nobody would give me a chance in a lot of ways. And my parents, especially my dad, I was tear about this piece. He was the first one to say that I'm going to give you a chance. And that's how I created this, and that's why I work so hard to make sure they don't have to lift a finger someday. But nobody was giving me a chance in life in a lot of different ways, and they were the first one to do it, and kind of just created this thing. So the family, it's a lot of passion to it. Yeah. Obviously, that comes with a lot of challenges, but it's a lot of love, and we want the same end goal of actually creating this and making this a lifelong thing. So it's been very special and very unique to be able to do this with them.
That's beautiful, man. And look, it's
100%, man.
Why are you apologizing for? You know, it's 2024. We are allowed to have feelings, right?
It's a lot of passion to create at the same time. Those are the only ones that, you know, our employees here that are become family members that seen how hard I've worked for this, how hard we've all worked for this to bring this from nothing to be where we're at. If it wasn't for the passion, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah. I mean, and let's also just 100% Bourbon and Bullshit is completely for showing emotions and being a human fucking being. So yeah, this is a passionate thing. If you didn't care and love every fucking thing that you did here, it wouldn't come through in all the success you've seen. You could taste it in your product. You could see it in how you build the brand and how you built the environment, man. When I walked in here, you could obviously tell you care. Everything from the little twinkling lights up top, every little detail, the flags, the bartender's always right, everything you've built, you could immediately tell you care and love it. So if you didn't, you would just be nothing worth mentioning. Yeah. You'd be just another fucking thing. So no, and I think it's beautiful. And that's always important to have that good family dynamic. Like I'll be the first to tell you that my mom is a huge pain in my ass. Yeah. But there is no one that I think would ever go more to bat for me than that woman. Like she will give her life if she could. Yeah, she'll bitch about it and complain about it most of the time. And she'll be like, mira, coño. Because she's a Dominican mom who's had to be
course.
Like
I got a Puerto Rican mom, a Puerto Rican dad. I understand that completely. Like you have your battles with them, but there's nobody that's going to be on your ring and your side more than your parents and your family members. They would do anything for you, and I would do anything for them, as you know, you would as well.
Oh yeah, I would 100% do anything for her except listen to her tell me how she wants grandchildren. Already. That's the one thing I draw the line. We're not having that conversation. We're moving on.
I've been dealing with that lately. So
I have 2 dogs. Those are your grandchildren.
That's my granddad. Max right here. That's your grandbaby right now.
Coco and Canela are her grandchildren. She better get used to that shit. No man, but it's awesome, and I think there's no such thing as life is a little bit luck, but I think you make it your luck. You make those opportunities and you just seize them, or those opportunities arise and you seize them. Your family all being hard workers in different avenues that you could explore to help build this brand is fantastic. And your father taking a chance. You've been operating, and let's be clear for everyone who's seen images and has heard of your brand, you've been operating for 4 years. This is a massive success for 4 years. This is I don't know if you've given yourself enough credit, but at least from the outside looking in, I don't know if you owe a bunch of money to the mob. I can't tell you that. But from the outside looking in, it looks like a massive success. You've built cross-brand partnerships. You've had multiple entities in Florida that are looking to work with you. You have made a great name for yourself, and that's not easy in a very ultra competitive space.
And I appreciate it. To be self-funded, my dad's the one funding this whole thing. Like no outside money coming or anything else. So it's truly been like a lot of innovation, a lot of creation. We don't have the budget that a lot of these places are putting millions of dollars into. Yeah. So to go from, in 4 years, a small little place, if you've seen, where, 4 years ago, my dad and I were watching football in my office here, hoping somebody would come for a tour, to now all of a sudden being the rum for the Jacksonville Jaguars and the only rum in the entire stadium to be, at a football stadium and be a partnership with that to, Total
massive.
Wine and ABC. Like in 4 years, a lot of it's because of the passion, the people here, the customers, and truly that passion. That's people like always say, yeah, you make great product, but it's because of you guys we keep coming back.
Yeah.
And we appreciate that.
It's 95%. I will tell you right now, some of my favorite bartenders, you're making an old fashioned everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So why do I drive 35 minutes out of my way to go to a specific bar? It's the fucking people.
It is.
It's the passion.
The environment, the ambience, you like all these other places, like, fuck it. Like, they're just a place, and it's just a job. Here, everybody actually feels like they're making a difference. They're actually creating something.
Bro, even Alex, not knowing me at all, talking to me about the bar, how great it's moved up. He showed so much pride in knowing him for 5 minutes, where some people say, yeah, I just got to punch it.
So he can tell, he's become a family member. He stayed with us when there's been some tough times, and he's gone from, just working at a little college bar to actually creating a name for himself and people talking about him in different realms and different restaurants, and we're training bartenders and mixologists some of the places. He's definitely taken that step and created something for himself here, and obviously that's only helped us because of those opportunities. And I mean, coming from no opportunity to be given opportunity, that's what we want to do, is make sure these people
pay it forward,
get that opportunity. Absolutely. And some people take it and run with it, some people don't. But I still believe in giving the opportunity to see what they're able to do. Yeah,
that's fantastic. And that's going to continue to speak volumes of everything you do here. Now, not to jump back, but some of our listeners are here because they came for Bourbon and Bullshit. But so they might not be very familiar with what Pitorro is.
Yeah.
So Pitorro, I'll let you break it down because obviously this is, but before we get into that, we are enjoying something from here.
Yes. Straight out of the barrel.
Straight out the barrel. So let's talk about Pitorro first, but I am going to sip on this while we keep going.
Yeah, absolutely.
So go ahead and tell.
So Pitorro is actually a moonshine rum from Puerto Rico, similar to like a moonshine whiskey from West Virginia. We have to know someone that knows someone that knows someone that can get it for you kind of thing. But it's a very unique spirit in the way that it's able to infuse with herbs and fruits and create a unique product altogether. So back here, we have our Pitorro wall. It's, different aging prospects or aspects. We have our olive for our dirty martini, so we make our own olive brine as well. From different liqueurs we make with a Pitorro, to herbal things, to pineapple, jalapeno, all different things. And it's a very unique spirit in the way that oils are actually coming from the distillation process that are able to age well with these other fruits and herbs that a typical ethanol just serves as a preservative. This Pitorro is unique in how it's able to function and work with the fruits and herbs that you're infusing it with. So our Pitorro de Coco is aged with real coconuts. It's not flavored. It's all at 45%, so it's higher proof, sweeter, and smoother than your traditional rums. Our citrus is aged with lemon and orange peels, so, for Cosmos and a lot of citrus-based cocktails, we make an orange dreamsicle cocktail here. Our cafe, which is aged with real coffee beans from a local coffee roastery called Ethos. They're phenomenal people. Elizabeth and Julian are just salt of the earth, and yeah, she's a PhD food scientist, so she made a low acidity type of coffee bean for me to age properly. And when you taste it, it's not liqueurs that you're tasting, all that shit that is just flavor bullshit. It's just like, sugary, synthetic. And I actually went to the Orlando Whiskey Festival because we're the only rum there, because it's like a bourbon. But someone wanted a local distillery are like, hey, try my coffee liqueur. I'm like, great, just like any other coffee liqueur. It's just flavored. He named like 10 ingredients he put in there, and I'm like, cool. He's like, can I try yours? And I'm like, well, it's a spirit, not a liqueur. And he tried it. He's like, man, that's amazing. What'd you put in it? And I'm like, well, took my Pitorro and I put coffee beans in there. He's like, that's it? I'm like, that's it. When people try it, they're like, why do you taste the cocoa, the toffee? I'm like, because it's coming from the beans themselves. I'm not adding anything to it. Yeah. So espresso martinis, white Russians, coffee Negronis, a lot of coffee cocktails that we're creating that you couldn't before, because normally you're getting from the liqueurs that are sugary. This is coming from the bean itself. Yeah. So everything is real in that aspect. And, the cool thing about the original one is if we don't have something here you like, then take it home. You can craft your own rum now. So you wanted guava and coconut, just put that in there, age it for a couple months, and then you have your own unique rum at home now too.
That's dope, man. That's awesome. I don't think that we already talked about it. Pitorro is not something that people are very familiar with.
It's just in Puerto Rico, and that's it. Either you get in Puerto Rico or just in here.
Yeah. So I remember even telling people, I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to Lugo's Craft Distillery. They sell Pitorro, and anyone who wasn't Puerto Rican was like, what? The the fuck is that? Should I know what that is? Like they looked at me like I was like, yeah, you should know what that is, but I guess not. And I did my best to break it down of that process and now moonshining. But I think it's so cool when you talk about spirits and moonshining and how like back in the day having the illegal shit was the best way of having it. Like even we did a recent episode where we talked about moonshiners would sometimes hide bottles in trees while they're aging because it would help the aging process. So like family members who knew where like Uncle Joe would hide shit. It's like would go to one of their trees and just pull the stuff out. I'm like, what the?
And that's what they do in Puerto Rico. They actually hide it in the ground, but they thought traditionally it was like for aging process. You actually need heat. You need some sunlight. Yeah. But they would do it because they're hiding from the cops. Yeah. They would get raided and everything. They still do that in Puerto Rico. Yeah. And so you can get a pitorro there, but obviously we purified a lot more here. It's a lot more of a clean product, not just a lot of gasoline and it's not fusel alcohols like in a lot of the pitorros in Puerto Rico. It's actually a proper spirit.
Yeah, you're not trying to blind somebody.
No, that's too much methanol. Actually, there was like a report earlier, I think a couple weeks ago, 3 people died from some moonshine. I think he got sentenced to like 4 years in jail.
Are you serious?
That's why distilling is illegal compared to like beer and wine, where you can make a bad product from beer and wine and you're fine.
Yeah, you might have a stomach ache.
Exactly, a bad headache, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. You make a bad spirit, you literally can kill someone if they drink too much of it. Oh, too much methanol can blind you.
Oh, 1,000%. So I'm gonna tell you a really crazy story. Kind of on the topic of blinding. I used to work in a retail outlet, and I remember one time during an overnight, I got paged to the front. It's like, hey, there's a guy who's laying down on the ground. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, is he dead? He's like, no, he's breathing. I don't know what's wrong with him. He just started laying down. Walk up front and he smells like mint. I'm like, oh, sir, are you okay? Call the cops, call the ambulance, they come and get him. It's like, oh, it's Mouthwash Dan.
Oh my God.
The fuck do you mean Mouthwash Dan? This man has a goddamn yes. Yeah. So I go and check my aisle and he drank 2 of the little travel size mouthwashes to the face.
Bro, that's bad.
And they're like, yeah, he's gonna lose his fucking vision at some point. So yeah, there are some very strict safety parameters there for a reason, because it doesn't. You could do a lot of adverse effects to your body.
Oh, yeah.
Outside of like death, there's also other things, kidney,
cirrhosis, liver. There's so many different things that you can do to your body outside of just drinking too much.
Yeah, of course. But I want to get to know you a little bit more. I want to first, now that we know a little bit more about Pitorro, but how you got here and everything, let's talk about this bottle that you just poured and that partnership, and what was the story behind it.
So
we're drinking this.
We're going to be drinking the Stag one next. This one I just grabbed out of the bottle yesterday. I wanted you to try.
What is this?
So this is actually our traditional whiskey. Everything I do is single barrel, which I love. Those oils that are in there, but this is actually a sweet toasted finish. So I got our Coopers in Kentucky. They're amazing people. I love working with them, but they created like a sweet profile, like a toasted finish. I love toasted products and toasted bourbons. And I'm like, I want to do something similar to that. So after whiskey was aged in about 1.5 years, it's been finishing in this sweet toasted barrel for about 6 months now. And it's around 104. A lot of things when it comes to aging, the humidity kind of brings, I don't know if people know, but it's like a living, breathing organism in that barrel. Mm-hmm. So that proof goes up and down throughout the seasons, depending on how cold and how hot it is, where it's at in the warehouse, how high, how low, all that kind of stuff. But this one in particular had 2 different toasted barrels. This one in particular, the viscosity just phenomenal. It just coats your mouth.
It's like candy. It's like syrup.
It's like vanilla. Bit. Yeah, it is like a syrup in that sense. It does spirits. That is nothing added to it. And for that high proof of the spirit to have that syrup and that viscosity to it, I think it's amazing. And I wanted to share it because like you would never know that. It's not the highest, obviously, at 52%, but it is higher than normal. Yeah. And to be that, that texture in there, it's just like a port almost. And it's just something unique that we do here. And that's why I love single barrels and the uniqueness of it, too. Yeah. But you would never know it's rum.
No, not at all.
We were bourbon lovers rum for a reason. And that's those concepts. It's not to disregard rum. It's just more of a why it's so unique is because it's not flavored. It's not synthetic. It's truly coming from the barrel, and that's it. I haven't done anything else to it. It's just letting God do his work, and the elements working, and then that's it. It's the color, the smell, everything. You don't
even have a label on that.
That's only 2 years.
That's only 2.
That color, you need something for like 10 years to get something like that. Usually, when it comes to bourbon or other places, that's just 2 years.
Listen, for anyone who's at home doesn't know shit about bourbon, and you're watching the video, this should not look like this.
Within 2 years,
no. That takes forever, seasons. Moving barrels around specific spots, and even then you might get a lighter amber color. Mm-hmm. That's ridiculous.
And that's the concept that we're doing here. Everything from the fermentation process, the distillation, but those unique barrels, everything just kind of fall into it in the sense of following this of, how unique this product is. And it doesn't happen like that. Like, it doesn't normally happen. I love Heaven Hill, but you can even see the difference in colors.
Yeah. Oh,
and no colors or anything,
Definitely. Yeah, that's a perfect barometer of like the two differences in colors and everything like that. That's wild.
That's why we become a bourbon lovers rum. That's why we've been so unique, and that's why we
hence
hit
the
that
name
bourbon.
Risky.
Hence the name Risky. Yeah, it's funny enough when I created it. Originally, I used like these oak spirals just to see what it was going to work with a specific rum. And when I gave it to my mom, she's like, "Oh, that's a good whiskey," and I'm like, "That's actually rum," and hence the name Risky because I didn't know if it was more like a rum or a whiskey. So 9 times out of 10, people think it's a whiskey, and our brand team loved it. We trademarked it, and the shape and the color of the bottle, the wax, everything just simulates like a bourbon because that's pretty much what it is. But it's rum.
Yeah, and honestly, the wax seal is a really good touch. It makes a perfect gift. Guys, it's the holidays coming up if you want to buy me a couple bottles.
Hand wax, hand labeled, handwritten on there. Everything is truly crafted.
A labor of love.
It is.
It's not machine. And I know that a lot of the better brands and more respected brands in whiskey, period, do a lot of their hand labeling.
Blanton still.
Yeah, Blanton to this day. I've done multiple of their tours.
I love Buffalo Trace. It's my favorite tour going up there.
That and Old Foresters are my two favorite tours.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's when it comes to Lugo's Craft Spirits, that's a lot of the concepts come from the Buffalo Trace or Sazerac version. Like when my sister being a marketing person at first, when she's like, 3 different brands, like, no, like it has to be a consistent one, like Bacardi, anything else. I'm like, that's not what we're doing. We need to have these 3 different brands and the uniqueness of it too, but also what I want to create is Lugo's Craft Spirits being the parent brand under that umbrella. Then you have a Lugo's Craft Pitorro, Libertalia Spice Rum, Risky Single Barrel Rum, things like that, and the variations of it. And obviously, whatever we create in the future will fall under that line. She's like, so you want to be like Diageo? We're like, yeah, but except we're making it. We're not just buying it and so forth. And that concept is coming from the Buffalo Trace. I have a lot of respect for what they do there, and hence why this has been so unique.
Yeah, no, it's fucking delicious. I know we talked a little bit about kind of your origin story, what brought you here, but what was the plan before getting into spirits? Was it like
I was going to do my MBA UK, not knowing what to do in my life. I was about to, I just didn't know what else to do.
You knew it had to be a business. You want to be in business?
Wanted to be in business. Yeah. Even when I had the idea of becoming a doctor or being pressured, I guess.
It was never our idea.
It was never the end product.
It was never our idea.
No.
Not once.
It was just like, I would love to do this, but I don't have the money so I can start a business. I always wanted to have a business. My dad has always wanted to have a business. We never in our dreams ever thought we would do something together. But business is always, creating something, because I've always been a jack of all trades, for whether it was music or, cooking to, marketing, creating chemistry, stuff, whatever. I was just always been good at a lot of different things, and just nothing really incorporated everything that I was good at until this business itself, and be able to create these things. Like, I've never ran a lounge before, even worked in a cocktail lounge. To create this and be so successful, that piece, it's like, truly, it is a labor of love, but also like, I know that I was meant for more than just a simple 9 to 5.
Yeah, man, a 9 to 5 pays the bills, but that's not the passion. That's not the thing that makes your.
And I've never been a person about the money. It's more about with the purpose of it. And I understand a lot of people have different lives, and I respect that completely. It's just for me personally, I was like, fuck it, I can't live like that. I'm boring myself to sleep over here, just like working in this office. Like I felt like I was just losing myself. And this has truly been able to really accentuate everything that I'm good at. And, especially being an athlete, moving these barrels is not easy. I don't have a lot of the equipment that a lot of these places have yet. So moving 500-600 pound barrels, like I was not this big earlier. When I started out, I was a lot smaller. It's just kind of my body's conformed to moving these things. But, it's so fun. It's working. Body by barrel
lifting, is that what you're saying?
Pretty much, literally. I was always lifting weights and everything, but I was never had to lift 500-600 pound barrels every day.
See, that is actually
changes you.
Yeah, I was like, that changes a man.
Man, my back has just been developed ever since then. Yeah,
whiskey and moving whiskey barrels is probably that's a pro diet right there.
There you go. Right? Instead of like taking the painkillers, I can just drink a little bit from the barrel and call it a day.
It's called product testing.
It is
quality
man.
assurance.
We always laugh here. We're just functioning alcoholics. It is,
These are functioning. It's a positive.
We enjoy the spirit. We're not just doing it just to get drunk.
And that's really awesome to see that you were still able to hone in what you were hoping to do and find then something you enjoy doing, because it would. I guess we could have this argument all day. Not you and I, but like people would have the argument. It's like, is it better to be successful and fucking have all your like have an abundance of money, but hate your job, or is it more important to enjoy what you do? And
I think everybody has their aspect of what they want their life to look like. I had a good boss called Ed in Kentucky, and he's the one that's like, you know, picture what you want your life to look like and work backwards to how to get to that piece.
Yeah.
And for me, it was never about the money. Like, I would do this for free if I could. I wish it was still back then where I could just barter a barrel for a trip to, you know, Europe or whatever else, or a house and stuff like that. It's because it's a passion. And for me, I get a lot, being a faith-based person, I don't care about money in the sense of like, obviously this world, you need that money to survive and to do things, but it's I believe in the integrity, and my mom being an artist as well too, and just kind of having that mindset of like, I want to be passionate about doing something, and because of that, the money will come. But I'm not doing it because of the money. I'm not selling my soul to have that money. It's more like I feel like I'm doing something awesome, and
making money.
The money's coming from that.
There was I don't know where it was before we take a quick break, but someone had said like you, if you're creating something, if you're doing something creative, you're making music or you're making art or you're doing stuff, don't try to cater your art to the audience. Do it for you, and people will love it because they can see that love in everything you're doing.
You know, it's funny you bring that up. That was one of the original things. My dad coming from corporate, it's more of like, okay, what do you think? You know, trying to tailor to everybody. And I get that from marketing standpoint and everything else. But I was like, fuck that. I don't give a shit what they think about it. And he was like, what are you talking about? It's for the customer. Like, fuck the customer in that sense. If I don't like it, how the hell can I keep making it? And, you know, the Libertai was like, for me, it was a perfect in the way with the cinnamon, with the, you know, unique blend of fruits and spices that age in there for a sipping spice rum. And he's like, oh, but we need to make sure that they like, I don't give a shit if they like it. I have to like it. And if I like it, I know people will like it because they're going to taste that passion in that piece. And obviously, and it's successful.
And from a business standpoint, that's red marketing versus blue marketing. Like, you could develop products in two different ways.
Exactly.
Multiple different ways. You could be the cheapest of a popular niche, or you could be very specific and create something unique, like something like a craft distillery, where you're going to find your market because you're creating something no one else really does.
It's not for everyone, but you know what? There's a lot more people that are looking for that than they're not. Yeah,
that's the point. Exactly. At some point, you have to differentiate yourself amongst these bigger brands.
Yeah, if you sound the same in like even music, it's a great concept of like, or even like, even if you like sports, obviously football, like a quarterback that does the same thing. It's like, well, maybe not be the best for your team. Of like, especially like your role players or anything else. How do you actually make better? You need someone that actually can use their legs compared to like someone who's just a pocket pass or whatever it is. You know, I think it's doing true of what you're good at. If you're good at using your legs, use your legs. If you're good at just throwing and sitting there and understanding the defense, like that's what you're good at. Like, it's great to learn other aspects, but to conform yourself just to be everything else, you're going to be lost. You're not truly someone yourself.
And if you really think about it, even back in the spirits thing, if you were just doing rum that everyone could blanketly like, you just become a name in a crowd. Just
competing with the same people.
And
I'm just like another Captain Morgan without the name.
And people will look at it like, what the heck is what's special about this? I'm going to go with a tried and true brand. But when you do something unique and different, partnering and making things taste risky in general, you're taking those risks. You end up doing something that people are like, ooh, okay, I'll try this. And no one else could emulate it. Or at least no one else is. At least
and that's why from the beginning, people are like, no one's thought of this? I'm like, no. Actually, apparently not. I just believe that this is the proper route. You know, I think that's one of the things that they respected about us is everybody does a whiskey, vodka, gin, everything else, throwing shit on the wall and see what sticks. And I believe in specializing in a product, and especially with the flavor palettes that all these different products can do. There's something for everyone. And, you know, it's like Bruce Lee, it's like people always ask, why just rum? Like, well, I think it was like Bruce Lee said, I'm not scared of the person that's practiced 1,000 kicks once. I'm scared of one who practiced one kick for 1,000 times. You know, you're specializing that, you're perfecting it and creating something unique of it, and you're the specialty, the best at that piece.
1,000%. With those very profound words, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Guys, don't forget, don't drink and drive. Drink responsibly and avoid, texting your ex. Be right back. Hey guys, while you're listening to the show, we know that you might want to partake in some drinks with us and enjoy the libations. Here at Bourbon Bullshit, we ask that you drink responsibly. Don't drink and drive, avoid Amazon one-click buy, and for the love of God, do not text your ex. You do not need that kind of closure. They've moved on, so should you, Joseph. You should stop Facebook stalking. She knows. She knows. Now, all jokes aside, don't do anything dumb, take care of yourselves, and be safe. Thanks guys, now back to the show. All right, guys, we are back, and of course, we took a little bit of a break, and Max wanted to make sure he explored and did his perimeter walk, so we are all good to go. For the record, we fucking love dogs, so I'm enjoying the fact that we have a dog on set today.
He's a real genius here.
He is making sure we're all good to go and no one's interrupting. Look at it. Look at him. He's just like very adamantly like, what's going on?
Guy.
But, so we're back and we're going to go ahead and try. Tell us about this whiskey barrel finish, because I know it's very.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, something fun.
I love working, again, bourbon fan, working on these finishes, and there's been some restaurants that have been amazing giving me barrels to finish their whiskey in to do a unique product for them. Sperry's in Gainesville, we did a Four Roses finish last year. This year we did a Buffalo Trace that'll be coming out here soon enough. This one in particular is for Frankie Liz and Rosa Spirit in Claremont, and this one's finished in their Stag Junior barrel.
Roasted Spirit. Where is that located at? Exactly?
It's in downtown Claremont. It's a really cool place. When you love bourbon, they got everything there. They're amazing. The food is amazing, tapa style. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to the bourbons, they got everything you can think of. From double. If you want to go to high end, they got the Pappies and Double Eagle Very Rare. But they do a lot of barrel picks, and he's one of the few people that I trust to do a good barrel pick. That's not always the quality. He has the same palate as me. We like the sweeter finishes, a lot of vanilla and caramel. So I always trust his barrel picks, and this Stag single barrel that he got from Buffalo Trace, one of the best things I've ever had in my life. And I've had a lot of different things. It was just, normally Stags have that deep burn and high proof at 65% a lot of times. It's delicious, but it's always inconsistent. This one was the sweetest one I've ever had, especially at that proof, and it was phenomenal. I was lucky enough, he gave me the barrel so I could finish whiskey for them, and it has become something absolutely phenomenal. It's finished at 120 proof and it's coming out of barrel strength. We're doing a really cool design with them with our black wax, but then having the stag antlers on the barrel itself, on the wax, and just really cool design I want to create for them. But the spirit obviously speaks for itself. Yeah. But at 120 proof, it was finished about 8 months in that barrel, and it's a freshly dumped barrel too. Which we want to get to the nitty gritty, the difference between dry and wet, but this one was wet, and it was just absolutely delicious.
That's dope. We're going to go ahead and try it in real time.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And enjoy. Thank you for sharing this with me.
Absolutely.
That's way fucking sweeter than I expected.
For 120 proof too.
I mean, you get the burn at the end, but it's way sweeter than I expected. That's
it's got
good.
that heat, but not that
it's like calming caramel notes and toffee and all that kind of coats. That's weird. That's not what I expected.
Someone give you a blind tasting. Do you think that was a rum?
No, that's exactly what I was about to say. I'm like, that's weird because I see the bottle. Mm-hmm. It says rum on there. We are at a craft rum distillery, and that does not taste like rum. That tastes like I just straight up poured a whiskey from my house and enjoyed that. So,
and that's the thing about it. It's just there's a lot of beautiful things you can do with rum, like bourbon. Back in the day, it was Colonel H. Taylor that changed the game for the bottle and bond, and actually everybody was calling whiskeys similar to what's going on with rum, similar tequila and all the things, the flavorings, and kind of just call it whatever it was. Yeah. And he was the first one that actually created the bottle and bond act, so to make sure that it is bourbon to be actually the whole process. People don't know. You can look it up. It's a lot of information, but essentially you're being regulated to know that this is actually made here, distilled and aged. Yeah. And I want to do that for rum in that sense of this is aged in a new charred American white oak like a bourbon, but it's accentuating the distillate rather than just hiding it behind these old barrels or whatever else. Yeah. Finish is great, but it's always aging in new charred American white oak because I want to accentuate the quality of the distillate product.
One of my favorite that's amazing. This is really, really fucking good. I'm mad at it. I'm mad that I'm like throwing off. I was like, this can't be a rum. But the other thing that's funny is, did you know that the first Food Protection Act of the United States was because of whiskey? Mm-hmm. Was because of the bottle and bond, because people were getting sick off of tar and tobacco spit and turpentine and all that. Because
just to get the colorings and everything else.
Yeah, it's a fake, like we said, you can't really age whiskey that fast. So people are putting out fake product and people are dying and getting sick. And not, bad milk, not bad bread, not bad food. It's like, hey, we got to make sure our whiskey's safe to consume.
Eventually got to the FDA with bleaching friggin' milk and the steaks and everything else. Yeah. But whiskey, of course, being the first one to do that.
Just another random fact. It was a mobster that made people have to put expiration dates on milk.
Really? I actually didn't know that one.
It was I forgot who it was. People are gonna fucking flame me in the comments. I think it's like Al Capone or someone. But
you want to know actually who Southern Glacier, where they get their history from?
Where?
The outfit?
Nowhere.
Al Capone.
I fucking why'd I have
from Prohibition?
I fucking had.
So there, of course, the distribution law is still going through that. And like, there's a lot of stuff, not being conspiracy theory stuff, but there's some things where you look back and like, huh, interesting. Yeah. So they're the ones that actually still managing the prohibition stuff. Like, okay.
But the milk, it was like a family member of his got sick.
Okay.
So he went to the government. He's like, what the fuck? We got to make sure that this is regulated. No one could get sick. I lost a family. Like, it was something like that. And because of the ability to have like a crime boss backing, they put expiration dates on milk. It was wild because prior to that, people just like assumed like, oh, it's fine.
Interesting.
It's a fucking random fact. Sorry.
I can see that they had the power. Obviously they could do that.
Yeah, just something randomly I thought of. But you talked about these partnerships and building that brand and building all those relationships. Is there like a dream collaboration or something that you're like, oh my God, I would love to work with? Or so far, one product that you were pleasantly surprised how great it came out? So two different questions, I guess.
That's a good question. Obviously it's great. We would love to do stuff with Buffalo Trace directly. And, I love Michter's as well. I respect a lot of what they do. Buffalo Trace always been my favorite in so many ways. I would love to do some finishes with them and learn how to do their bourbon in so many different ways, but that's like an open-ended kind of answer in a sense of like I would love to just work with them in some way, but my favorite thing honestly is working with these local businesses and these local restaurants and hey, I got this cool barrel, let's do something cool like the Lakeland Whiskey Society finishing in the Blue Note barrel that they did and that was extremely successful and it's delicious as well. It's come out like creamy and chocolate and it was just so good. But
tough, right?
The thing is, not to talk down about a lot of people and places, they kind of just throw in a distillate and throw into this idea of a cognac barrel or whatever else and kind of just finishing and tasting like you don't know what that was inside that barrel. Mm-hmm. I love to taste what was inside of it so I know I can match it with a specific whiskey or whatever else that I'm doing that's going to match those notes. And it's almost like cooking. It's like you don't want to throw some Asian stuff in Latino if it's not actually going to bond well together, if it's not going to be a quality product. Two different concepts altogether. And if you don't know what it tastes like before, how do you know what it's going to taste like afterwards? Fair. Like, of course, when it comes to aging, it is a barrel, so a different science altogether. You really don't know. You have a concept and idea. But I like to control as much as I can control. So I like to know what that product was like before I finishing it in there to create something unique. So I want to make sure they're, working too well together inside the barrel. So that's why I like working with local businesses because they allow me to try the barrel or the bottle first to know exactly, okay, this is going to match well with this particular barrel, with this particular whiskey because it is all single barrel. So they're all different and unique. Some might have that peppery finish. Some might have that cherry finish or vanilla, oak, whatever it is. You want to make sure they're working well together. And so I honestly, although I would love to do something with Buffalo Trace, I don't know what that looks like yet. I would love to do something with them. So like in the meantime, I like working with local businesses.
Like we have / did something with the meadery, Zamirium, like that meadery because they have the sweet oak
I love
finishes.
Him and Michael over there.
And I know you worked with them as well.
Yeah, they used our Libertai, which is our spice rum that's aged real fruits and spices. Actually, I do a sweet toasted finish for that, and that's how Oak Aged Libertai came about, and that's become its own thing. Mm-hmm. Roast Spirit, we did one when Elijah Craig finished barrel, and it tastes like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and people are obsessed with that.
The fuck?
Yeah.
Is that here?
No, unfortunately, all those sold out. I had the third barrel sold out already. The fourth one's coming out. I tried it the other day. It is absolutely phenomenal. So I'll see if I can grab some from you with barrel too. It is phenomenal.
I came here during the wrong time. You didn't tell me you were Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yeah. All the unique things that we're doing and everything is truly aged. And again, it's the difference in that allowing the barrel to do its work. Like I love seeing what's going to come out of it. A lot of people like to are very to the T of like, I need to know exactly what's going to be like. I like saying, hey, I wonder what's going to happen this time, Like, I love the unknowns. And that Oak Aged Libertai barrel, they actually finished their whiskey in that barrel, and it's become a huge thing for them. And so now they're like, okay, we need more of these barrels. I'm like, I'm working on it, okay? Like, I'll definitely bring something more out for you because I literally created a new concept of a spice rum barrel. Which never existed before. So especially something real and unique. And I never even thought about that until Michael Buff actually brought that up to me. He's like, you created like a whole new line of barrels. And I'm like, really? And when you think about it, it's completely unique. So
a big shout to Mike B.
Oh, I love that guy.
I love
He's
them
such
both.
A cool guy. And Tim, they're so cool.
I fucking love. If they weren't so far out of my way, I would probably be drunk all the time. Like I feature their bottles, their Sin Nombre, their mezcal, all that.
They have a lot of cool events too with Cigars Dave. So we love working together. And you know, when it comes to the spirits industry, something I really loved is there's a lot of collaboration and camaraderie. Like the thing is, we're never going to have 100% of the market share. That doesn't exist. Some people are still going to like Captain Morgan compared to Libertalia, or some people are still going to like the bourbons more than the whiskey, and that's fine. But I think it's bringing it together, everyone. But it's not. And that's the thing. It's like, we like working with them because we can create unique things together and it's fun. Like they're obviously in a different section and different area. They have a different vision of how they want their business to go compared to ours. But with a lot of cool things working together, a lot of collaboration. I love working with people like that.
Yeah, I think that's we talked about it earlier. Is look, it's more than just alcohol. It's more than spirits. Yes. There's
relationships.
There's relationships. It's history. There's stories. There's passion. There's just that dynamic. Like we always talk about having that feel of like we're sitting around a table just talking about what life and how we got here and all that.
Everyone's got such a unique life, and I love learning about that.
And it's like I said to Alex, it's like those are the three. The three universal languages is food, music, and alcohol. Like wherever you are, someone's enjoying one of those three. So,
someone's listening to Mark Anthony over there in Germany right now. You know, like
how. He actually has a killing in fucking Europe. He actually really does. European people love Mark Anthony, which is funny. So yeah, it's great to see everything that you guys have been doing, and and then you expanded to this lounge. Like I know we talked really briefly about creating this space. Did it feel like this just makes sense, or was this something like a quiet passion?
So the laws changed, which we're talking about the business aspect of it. Because it's obviously still a business. Yeah. The laws changed about 2 years ago, which allowed us to start selling cocktails in our lounge. A lot of sell bottles and cocktails at events that had our licenses and stuff. So before that, it was prohibition laws, literally from like 1930s, whatever. Nothing had changed in Florida, so only people can buy 6 bottles per person per year, things like that, and no tastings anywhere. It was completely restrictive, and I think it was bipartisan. It's not politics, but in both Republicans, Democrats, it's all like when it comes to the craft space, make sure that craft distilleries are getting taxed less compared to the massive corporations.
Which makes sense.
And allowing us to actually expand our businesses. And I think they did a really good job here in Florida of being able to, I know San Augustine Distillery was one of the people that spearheaded that. So we appreciate those people working. We just came at the right time for that aspect, being younger compared to them. But it allows us to start actually able to expose their product and spirits to other people just in this location. Which every state is completely different when it comes to laws of what you can and can't do from a distillery. Beer and wine, it completely on a different level compared to spirits. We are still very constricted in so many ways, but allowed us to have these cocktail lounge. And how I want rum to be seen, especially our rum, it's completely different than what it's been seen before. So one of the things I always tell the guys when they first start working here, females as well, it's there's some rum and Coke. And the customer's not always right. In the sense of like, I've got your back. We're doing something integrity based. We're not just here to sell ourselves. Yeah. And we want to make sure that we are being respected in that same way. The same way we do in our spirits, I want to make sure our employees are respected in the same way too. But sure, can you make the stuff in a tiki? Absolutely. But why? That's not what I want them to be seen as. It's not just a rum and Coke. It's, being able to do an old fashioned with this is absolutely phenomenal, especially the different ways we can do that.
Oh, I had one.
It's ridiculous. We're known for our old fashions and our espresso martinis and dirty martinis. The thing is, you have all these different cocktail concepts, but it's all rum and nobody could ever tell the difference. But we're accentuating it in so many ways. So instead of having have a gin cocktail and a whiskey and then you're getting messed up the next day, you're having the same concept here and accentuating those things, but it's still rum, so you don't really get messed up in that sense. But when it comes to the craft lounge itself, no, I had no idea. Again, my life has always been there's an opportunity, I'm going to take it and see where it goes. Yeah. And I'm being a faith-based person. It's like, you create that sense. You get that opportunity, and it's like, screw it. What's the worst that can happen? Let's fucking try it and see what happens. And the little small cocktail lounge became something bigger than we ever thought. Hence why this bigger cocktail lounge. And this is getting too small. So then we had the private event center too. Yeah. And then now it's probably going to get to the next section here now too. Until eventually we have our bigger distillery and Lakeland and Forever Home and create that Buffalo Trace concept that we've always wanted to do. But essentially it's just become, we learn more about our spirits through the cocktails because of how it can do. And that's the thing. I believe a good sipping spirit makes a better cocktail. But again, I just want to make a good sipping spirit. I never knew or ever dreamt that these spirits could do so many things in cocktails.
Yeah.
And so we had a talented mixologist in Alex, who comes from that background, who took this and really made something completely new.
Yeah.
So our syrups and reductions, everything, liqueurs are made in-house, but I didn't know much about our product because I thought it was just great sipping. And then when you do it in cocktails, it just turns it into a different animal, which only gave me more inspiration to do other things in the back, which brings more inspiration up here, and it kind of works back and forth.
I wondered if that thought process of like you try something in a cocktail and like, you know what would make this cocktail better is if that spirit was more cinnamony or more in a different aspect.
That's how the citrus came about. Alex was like, I want to make a Cosmo for these ladies that love Cosmos. And so he was using original Pitorro. He was muddling lemon and orange peels and get that citrus taste. And I was like, screw it. Why not just age the lemon and orange peels in the Pitorro and call it a day? And the citrus Pitorro came out. All the restaurants that have been trying it, they were obsessed with it. They got rid of their Absolute vodka that was with flavor of the citrus. They wanted our citrus Pitorro. They're like, why aren't all these martinis made with rum? It's like, well, it's not every rum.
Yeah.
We have a very unique product that is able to do because it's so clean and the sweetness, it just works better in cocktails.
Have you seen Pitorro in other avenues or other companies, or is it just like
nobody else in the United States makes that?
That is
from my knowledge.
That is fucking dope.
And we have a very specific niche in that hole in the market, from the Pitorro to the Libertad to the Risky, and it's almost combining different flavor palettes together, different people together, and in one product.
And you're in the perfect fucking state for it. Heavily Hispanic, heavily like that cultural. Like,
and it's very touristy, so you have a lot of people bringing that out other places as well,
like,
too.
Yeah, and it stands out on a menu too.
It
so
does.
if you see like, what the fuck is this? Because people are looking for, like I said, you can go everywhere and get a fucking old fashioned.
Yeah, of course.
And that's where people like smoke stuff and do all this extra to try to set yourself apart. Like, but your base spirit sets you apart right away.
Well, what's crazy is you have these basic knowledges of these different cocktails. Pitorro and Libertad and Risky are creating new cocktails that have never existed before because, again, it's not that flavored aspect of it, and it's just chemically inclined to do a lot of things that other spirits can't do. Yeah. Rum is very versatile in how you can use it in cocktails. It's probably the most versatile outside of vodka. Yeah. Tequila's up there now, too. They're creating a lot of cool stuff with tequila.
I was about to say, I'm like, tequila is actually one of those brands that, one of those spirits that used to get a really bad rap because it was associated with partying.
It did.
Associated with partying and bad hangovers.
Margaritas,
that's it. Or just doing tequila shots
now it's
and
becoming so
out.
much better.
Yeah, now you're seeing less additives, more cocktails being spun up on them, more use. They're getting more public, like real, like, hey, these are actually, even health nuts. You find out like tequila and mezcals are actually arguably better health-wise for you than other spirits.
Mm-hmm. It's funny, there's actually a misconception, that piece, in the sense of like anything distilled, it's gluten-free. It's no like non-GMO. There's a lot of stuff from like, no, anything coming off the still is technically all these things that they use marketing-wise.
Yeah.
But just because it's dark, it's the same calorie count as a vodka.
Yeah.
Like a whiskey and whatever else. When you get started getting to the flavorings, that's when you get the messed up. That's where you get the sugar. That's when you get those health products.
Yeah.
But anything that's truly distilled and aged, it's the same as a vodka.
Oh, yeah.
And a tequila.
Yeah. It's all marketing and branding.
Exactly.
Like you say, like, oh, if you're trying to watch it, skinny girl vodka, blah, blah. It's like, well.
Like, bro, like, it's the same distiller. What are you talking about?
Same stuff. Like, I guess if you just don't get anything with artificial colors and flavors. Like, and I guess we'll get the same calorie count.
Exactly.
Also, I'm not shitting on anyone who drinks vodka. Do what you want. I mean, you grow up one day.
But
you
should understand the difference in that sense, too. Like, have that knowledge of
Yeah.
saying, hey, anything coming off the still is the exact same thing. Whether it's whiskey, vodka, gin, just because it comes from sugarcane doesn't make it sugary at all.
Yeah.
Anything that becomes a distillate, for people that don't know, you need those sugars, fermentable sugars, that the yeast uses to convert it to alcohol. It's just a specific type of sugar, has a specific taste to it, and yeast has a lot to play into that as well, too. Not to get too nerdy in that aspect, but essentially...
I told you I'm a nerd. I don't know why you... the hell? Why are you apologizing for what I
Some
enjoy?
people are like, look at me with like a dumb face. I'm like, okay, I got to stop here.
Listen, there's one thing you should know. I think that everyone universally will tell you, like, a good conversation and good getting to know someone, if you're passionate about it, you'll be talking about Excel spreadsheets. I'm going to be enthralled in what you're talking about because the passion comes through. It's interesting. It's something I'm not. So I am a novice in I know the general knowledge. I know all the basics of it.
That's our ADHD. We know a little bit about everything, right?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Right. And because of the nature of the show, I know more about whiskey and some spirits and rums because I've done the research and because I've had to learn because it's interesting and I've just dug into it.
Right.
But a lot of our listeners are finding out for the first time and learning some of this. So,
it's those fermentable sugars. Yeah. Everything has sugars, even your vodka. What vodka is a neutral spirit. So whether it's sugarcane, potato, whiskey, whatever the hell it is, you distill it at 95%, it becomes a neutral spirit. You redistill that, it becomes a vodka. Vodka is just literally nothing in a sense. It's just a clean spirit and that's it.
Yep.
Gin is an herby vodka. You throw in, literally, it's a neutral spirit, and those vapors eventually go through a gin basket that has a bunch of herbs. It's just an herby vodka.
Yeah.
But they all come from sugar.
Yep.
That's how sugar is converted into alcohol when it comes to chemistry. And that distilled, so everything off the still is the same exact thing. You get the color, the taste, and smell from the aging aspect in the barrel, or how we age it with our fruits and so forth, or herbs. But there is no sugar in there unless you have a synthetic product, which is what we're going against. Yeah. And that's what you get those calories from.
Yeah, and you could even taste it immediately when you have those kind of spirits and you have those liqueurs.
You just feel it. Yeah. It's just a chemical, like eating something, fresh, like farm fresh. There
was this whole TikTok trend where people were pouring tequila on their hands and rubbing it. They said you could feel if there's an additive because it gets a different texture, of almost stickiness. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. I never tried it, but even if there's any truth in that, that speaks to even how the moment you take in a spirit, you're like, this
I have a lot of skepticism to that. A lot of TikTok stuff is just fake, but
oh no, I don't disagree.
I don't think you can physically feel the difference in the chemistry in that aspect, because there's shows like coming from the sugars and stuff, like this viscosity of this rum right here. That's because of the feel, it's completely different than typical ethanol that actually just evaporates immediately. Like, doesn't mean there was additives in there.
Oh no, 100%. So. I just thought that was their whole thing where they were trying to prove a point. I'm like, I don't. First of all, I'm not pouring tequila.
Like when they did the Brita thing or whatever through it, I was like,
triple distill it again. I was like, what are you doing?
Filtering. I actually got that question one time. Oh my god, and not to insult somebody, but I was going through the distillation process, and someone's like, "Oh, so it's like a Brita," and I'm like, "What?" And I can't. My emotions are on my sleeves. I can't hide my face. I just had that inability, I guess.
I've gotten in trouble for that more than once.
Talking about. I was just like, oh my god. That's when I quit the tour. I was like, this is gonna be a quick tour. And he's like, oh, because it's like filter. And I'm like, distilling and filtering completely different. Oh my god. Do you not listen to anything I just said?
Man, there have been the emotion on your sleeve and being able to tell immediately. That's part of the reason why when I do video conference calls, my camera's not on. Because someone will say something. Someone will say something dumb, and I'm just like, "The fuck did you do?"
Oh my god, how are you alive?
You're the reason why there's warning labels on everything.
Literally,
I feel like a piece of shit because
it's like Prop 65. Like you have to, like in California, like that's one of the things I was working on in Kentucky. But Prop 65 is like to warn anything that can potentially cause cancer. They have in Disneyland, they had asphalt as potential cancerous. You have to eat asphalt for like 30 years every single day for the potential to have cancer. I'm like, but people are like that apparently. So people are eating asphalt.
I said this to someone. The reason why there's warning labels on certain things is because someone did that. The thing they're warning you against, someone did it. They're like, no. I was like, the reason why they say take Pop-Tarts out of package before you put them in the toaster is because someone threw that bitch in there thinking this is how they heat up so fast.
God, stupid people are stupid. So many
or
ways.
Like, don't microwave it in this aluminum package. You asshole.
There's a lot of things where you're just like, it's like the kid that got rid of recess because they ruined it for everybody because they did something stupid. And you're like, damn, dude, it's like for everybody now.
Yeah, I remember when we used to do this. Why can't we? Because Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy over there fucked everything up
Jimmy's
for everybody.
Dumbass.
Like, God, I got stupid.
Chewing on rocks. Like, Jimmy.
You're like, seriously, bro. Like, come on.
What is your problem? But it is funny because there's so much truth in that because you'll hear all these trends and or misconceptions and misinformation that just becomes like common, like, oh, this feels like common knowledge,
like people dying from eating Tide Pods. Like, how do you should know that you shouldn't be doing that. Like, I didn't go to school to learn that I shouldn't do that.
When someone's like, if you microwave your phone, it'll charge it faster. And you saw the amount of people that are like, I can't believe you had me do this. I can't believe you thought that was a thing.
Dude, come on.
Like,
that's why comedy's dead.
What is your problem? Like, why are you microwaving phones? Like, I remember multiple times I would watch stuff. I was like, no, this is the dumbest. No one should do this. No one's doing this, right? No one's really doing this. Like, people are like, oh, we're doing the cinnamon challenge. Why are you eating a spoonful of cinnamon, you dumb fuck?
People are fucking stupid.
I mean, yeah, clicky, and you're trying to get famous off of shit. But even
attention, everything's about the attention.
Yeah,
and again, it goes back to like a proper spirit. If we're not going for the attention, it's not about the celebrity stuff. It's about creating something quality because we care about it. Yeah. Compared to just going with the social norm. It's like I don't care less about that. I don't have TikTok and all that bullshit. Like I don't give a fuck about that shit. I care about creating something unique, and if somebody doesn't like it, I really don't give a shit because 9 times out of 10, these people absolutely are obsessed with it because the quality and the spirit, what we're doing here, it matters. And when people have cocktails here, they're like, no, rum or whatever else, and they try to like, I've never had rum like that. It's like, this is how rum should be.
Yeah.
And that's what we're creating. And as you're trying right now.
Yeah. And I'm telling you right now, I'm still mad that I'm like, this can't be rum. He's lying. He's not telling me the truth.
Actually, we want to get a shirt that says, I can't believe it's not whiskey.
Yeah. We can make that. You want to do a brand partnership?
Absolutely.
We'll make
that would
a shirt.
be amazing, actually.
We'll make a fucking shirt that says, can't believe there's not whiskey. Dash Bourbon Bullshit. At
I'm down for that.
I will make that. I will get that fucking commission.
You know how many people will actually love that shit
Yeah,
right now?
we will fucking throw that in there. Bring the fucking, it contains alcohol, hats and shirts. Fucking make it a thing. I don't give a damn.
I'm always up for, that's just who I am. I love working with people and just creating stuff. Like, I think one of my good friends here, Steve Vera, he actually creates Legato tequila. If you haven't tried it, it's phenomenal. No additive. I love Fortaleza. I think it puts even Fortaleza to bed. It is delicious.
That's a high regard.
And I love Fortaleza.
And I don't know your friend.
Strength.
I don't know your friend. But Fortaleza is...
And I don't blow smoke. People know me. I am not... I love... This is bourbon bullshit, but I do not bullshit thing. If I don't like it, I'm going to tell you straight up. It's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I am very transparent to a fault.
I told you that when I walked in. I was like, I looked up... Before I worked with you, I had to do my research because... I at some point have to be honest about your product.
Oh, yeah.
And that would be shitty to be like, hey, I really like Christopher, but this product's shit.
Yeah. like that's the reality of it. And like the product sells itself. Like I had that confidence there.
Yeah.
That tequila is phenomenal. But he has always said, 100% is 0-0. Like I love working with people, even in small amounts. Eat those roasters. So Swan Brewing, amazing brewery here in Lakeland. They use our barrels to age their beer in there, and we love collaborating with people. It's just so much fun. That's why I love to collaborate because this shit is awesome.
It's so much fun.
Passion.
I like that, and that's one of the things. Was one of the end goals for this show. Like we're now about to hit our 1 year.
Cool.
The first 25 episodes of figuring it out, figuring out your niche, figuring out what you're trying to do, and just trying to develop that brand as you grow. Because if I wait till something's perfect, you're never going to do it, right?
Never. You got to take those steps. You got to make those errors. I'm not afraid of failure because it's like, fuck it, what's the worst that could happen? Like, you not doing anything is probably the worst that could happen.
Yeah, exactly. The potential never being explored is the worst thing you could do and waste that time. So as we kept going, I realized I'm really enjoying the talking to the dude behind the bar, working with the locals and supporting local businesses, industries, creatives, creators, all that. And it's just fun because unless you end up becoming bigger than Bacardi at some point, I would always remember the passion that drove you there.
And it's never going to change either.
Yeah, but you get me it's good to see that the actual human being behind that creative that creation, as opposed to just an entity. So
that, even if that ever did happen in the future, that was never the reason.
No, of course, yeah.
And that's as you know, getting to know is that's not what we do.
And you shouldn't, because that would be hollow.
It is.
That would be.
It's just trying to sell yourself to them. I don't give a shit about that shit. I care about having fun creating these things. Speaking about the lounge we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. We went in a random.
I love it. No, but that's I just.
Does the lounge have a name, by the way?
It's just not really. It's just Lugo's Distillery, Lugo's Lounge. But
okay, Lugo's
in
Lounge
reality,
is the name.
it's that's a nice alliteration, right? When I started this, when I come out, I was looking at opportunity to create the spirits. Did I see this happening? Absolutely fucking not. Did I see us being at an NFL stadium? Absolutely fucking not. I had no vision of that. I'm very faith-based. People always know that. I'm God had a hand in everything, and my parents had no reason to trust me. I just kept saying, I have a good feeling about this for no fucking reason whatsoever. I just always had a good feeling. But to think that at a distillery, when the laws didn't even exist when we started this, to have a lounge, to be a place where people become friends, family, relationships, whatever it is, almost like a Cheers place where it's out to be bad. But there's a lot of people that live around here, and it's there's a lot of parking, there's all these events and people meeting together. I'm I never in a million years would have thought we would have that impact where people are having a place to get away. Our favorite place to go to Lugo's because we get away from the world. There's no TVs in here. It is just a lounge where you can just relax, get away from all the bullshit you normally deal with in the daily basis. You talk to Alex, Arden, or James, or us, and it's just we'll show you the cool stuff. Our regulars. I have a barrel club as well too that we do a lot of cool stuff with. But I just show it's just the passion and how they care and how they grow. Did I ever envision this? Absolutely. How can you envision that?
Yeah.
When you start something, you're like, man, this is an opportunity. I feel like this is really great. That's where I was. And it's every day since day. It's one day at a time of what's going to happen next? I don't know. I just know good things are going to happen. Have that faith of we're doing something good. We're making a difference. going back to, not to get into like, people, religions, everything else, I am faith-based. The reason I started this, I was always praying about opportunity to help people and do stuff. And I've always had a passion for, helping kids with Down syndrome or like, developmental issues too, the church as well too, but just people in general. And I always thought I had to be rich to do that kind of stuff. In this process, being able to raise some money for the Achievement Academy, who have schools for people with disabilities.
Tell me more about Achievement Academy.
Achievement Academy, they're an amazing organization that have schools for people with learning disabilities, and they train them, and it's their own school system and everything else. And we got opportunity to raise money for them, to sell things to help raise money for them. Like, I thought I was going to be like 20 years down the road to do that within like it was the last year when we got started raising money for them and everything, and to have that impact already, and like to see how God has worked in that life to just help people in that way, so use me to help people. I never would have dreamt that to happen, to raise money for schools, to breast cancer awareness, to like being able, even if it's just a donation to raise money and raffles or whatever else, like absolutely, like whatever it is to like help money to help people, or to raise money to help people. Like I never thought we would have that kind of impact already in 4 years to be able to do that. And
that's fantastic. It's a labor of love, man. The fact that you guys are so passionate and how much love you put into it all shows why you were so successful so fast.
And it was never to sell something.
Yeah, but it
was to create it.
Yeah. I think we talked about it really, we already spoke about it earlier, whereas like you do what you care about, you love it. People will see that love and they want to be a part of it. Either share in the experience, be around it. People gravitate to passion and love like that. These are things that people are very hyped about, and they could feel it. When something feels hollow and just pointless, like I'm not really about it. And it doesn't really fucking last.
It doesn't. It's
last.
Very short term, and
it might be a flash in the pan. Try it. This is cool. It was great for 2 months.
And I've seen a lot of brands already go under in the short time because of that.
And I say with all the love in the world to all the cocktail mixology bars and all this stuff, and I'm a big fan of them, and they're big friends of the show, like the Courtesy Lounge. They've moved from downtown to Winter Park. We followed them. Like me and my friends all followed them. I got engaged at that place.
Did you really?
Yeah, it was a fun story because my fiance and I, when I first met her, she was like the Grey Goose and Cranberry girl, blah, blah, blah. Like, but I was never that guy. Like I would go to the Courtesy by myself and drink and write in the corner. I'm a creative by nature. So I like to write, I journal, I do all that. So I'd go there on a Tuesday night when it's kind of slow and got to know the bartenders, got to know the staff, got to know everyone there, but it became my spot. One of our first couple of date nights, my fiance and I went there. She fell in love with the place. She's like, oh my God, I love the energy. I love the place. I love everyone here. They're so nice. It became a regular. Like whenever people were like, oh, where's G and Rosanna? We're there at the Courtesy. We just became our thing. So we got engaged. Some of the people who listen to the show already know, but I've been working with Billy. I was working with Billy for a year to build this up. I said, hey, I want to do something here to get engaged. He's like, I'm 100% fucking about it. Billy's going to be invited to my wedding. He's going to be an usher at my wedding. But we said it was content for the show, and said we get like 12 seats for the cocktail mixing class. And during that class, I got her favorite cocktail picked as one of the drinks. I was behind the bar as part of content, and I asked her to marry me in front of like the cocktail class. There were like 6 strangers, but they were told in advance, and 2 of the bartenders found out that day it was happening. They're like, what the fuck do you mean? And they know me. They're like, Arthur's gonna get, hell yeah, man, let's fucking do it. So like but that's because I love the people there.
Right.
It
makes it special.
Yeah. On the outside looking in, people are like, oh, you got engaged at a bar? It's like, no, motherfucker.
It's not the same thing.
It's not the same fucking
thing. It's not
thing.
like a dive bar over here getting drunk off rum and cokes, you know?
It's our date night. It's where we would go whenever we had like, let's say we were stressed out in a relationship, we're stressed out in life. That's where we went. Whenever we had like tough conversations, we would go there. Great conversations, we would go there. Like we just had to fucking reinvigorate and have fun and have a good time. We would go there. It became, during the pandemic, they hand delivered cocktail store to people's homes. Billy delivered a lion's tail and a black, like a black castle black to our house for our 5-year anniversary. Hand delivered the shit.
That's special.
Yeah. So
that's how you know they care.
Yeah. So I'm like, so from that point, even before that, I was like, I will do whatever the fuck I need to support you guys and everything I can do.
Right. What's the place called again?
The Courtesy.
The Courtesy. I'm have to check that place out then.
It's fucking wonderful, but that is because of the people. Same as like those customers that come in here looking for you, looking for your brand, looking for your product.
Can you believe we had a wedding here in October?
You see?
A wedding and a reception. A wedding. I never would have dreamt that in my entire life. There's going to be a wedding reception or a wedding rehearsal here next Friday. We have a wedding reception here. In December, we have a firefighter event. It's people are holding special events here.
That's massive.
How crazy is that? Like,
that's great.
Bro, I come from nothing. I come from, just this idea of creating these things, and with the people, we were able to build something where people had that special place. Like, you were the courtesy. Like, I never would have thought this was ever going to happen like that.
100%.
In concept, we're just rum distillery.
No, not just rum.
In concept.
We're not going to say just. We're not doing that, Christian. Christopher. All right. Guys, we're going to take a quick break. I think Max might need to go for a potty break. We will be right back, y'all. Hey, guys. So we will be calling that part one of our interview with Christian Lugo from Lugo's Craft Distillery in Lakeland, Florida. The episode was a lot of fun. It did turn into a two-parter. So please make sure to tune in next week for part two and the continuation of this interview. Get a little bit deeper into what makes Christian tick and everything that drove this passion behind the brand, and get to know him as a human being outside of just a master distiller and an overall fantastic businessman. So stay safe and see you next week. Bye, guys. Hey guys, today's episode is brought to you by Burn Termite and Pest Control. I first met Joe Byrne on Full Frontal Nerdy Show and decided to give his company a try. They have been the best pest service I've ever had. From flexible scheduling, attention to detail, fair pricing, and everything you love about a small business, I highly recommend Joe Byrne and Burn Termite and Pest Control. It's a family-owned and operated business with over 30 years of experience in termite and pest. You can reach Burn Termite and Pest Control at 321-297-7985. Once again, 321-297-7985. And let them know Bourbon and Bullshit sent you. Thanks, guys. See you next time.